Picture this. You're sitting across from her at dinner, the same restaurant where you used to laugh for hours, where her eyes would sparkle every time you made a joke, but tonight, her gaze drifts to her phone. Her laugh feels forced, and when you reach out to hold her hand, she doesn't pull away, but she doesn't lean in either. You can feel it, that tiny shift, that invisible gap growing wider between the two of you. At first, you brush it off. She's busy, she's stressed, everyone has off days. But deep down, there's this sinking feeling in your stomach. You know something's changed. She used to send long, excited texts. Now it's just K or LOL. She used to hug you tight when you met. Now it's a quick pat on the back. And worst of all, you can't stop replaying it in your head. Every interaction feels like a test you're failing. You start wondering, did I say something wrong? Am I not enough? It's almost like she's slipping through your fingers one message, one smile, one cold silence at a time. Now here's the crazy part. The more distant she gets, the more obsessed you become. Instead of pulling back, you lean in harder. You double text, you plan the perfect dates, you compliment her more, hoping to reignite that spark. But strangely, the harder you try to close the gap, the further away she seems to drift. Sound familiar? If you've ever been in this situation, you know it's absolute torture. You're addicted to her attention. Desperate for those little crumbs of affection she used to give so freely. And when you don't get them, you spiral. But what if I told you, this isn't just relationship drama? What if the exact same psychological forces that make people gamble away their life savings at slot machines, or scroll endlessly through social media feeds, are also the forces that drive attraction between men and women? Because here's the truth most men don't want to face. Attraction isn't about logic. It isn't about how nice you are, how much effort you put in, or even how much you love her. Attraction runs on the same neurochemical loops that fuel addiction. Think about it. Why do people keep pulling the lever on a slot machine even when they're losing? Why do you keep refreshing your phone, waiting for a notification that might never come? It's because the brain is wired to crave uncertainty. The dopamine system goes into overdrive when rewards are unpredictable. And relationships, especially in the early stages, are no different. So when she starts pulling away, it isn't always about another guy or about you not being good enough. More often, it's because the psychology of addiction, the very thing that makes intrigue irresistible, has faded. The unpredictability is gone. She knows exactly when you'll text, exactly how you'll respond, exactly what to expect, and once certainty takes over, the dopamine stops flowing. In the next chapter, I'm going to break down exactly how this addiction psychology works in relationships. And more importantly, how you can use it to flip the script. So instead of her pulling away, she'll find herself hooked, intrigued, and chasing you. Have you ever wondered why people sit in front of a slot machine for hours, pulling that lever over and over again, even as their wallets bleed dry? They know the odds are stacked against them. They know they're probably losing more than they're winning. And yet, they can't walk away. Or think about social media. You pick up your phone to check one notification, and suddenly an hour has disappeared. You've been scrolling, refreshing, checking likes, waiting for that one little red bubble to pop up. It's almost hypnotic. Why does this happen? It's not stupidity, it's not lack of willpower, it's brain chemistry. Both gambling and social media tap into something called intermittent reinforcement. That's when rewards are unpredictable. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get 200 likes, sometimes you get none. That uncertainty hijacks your dopamine system. It makes you crave the next hit, even if the last one disappointed you. This is the psychology of addiction. And here's the part most men never realize. The exact same loop happens in relationships. When a woman first meets a man who intrigues her, It's not because he's perfect or because he showers her with compliments every day. It's because she doesn't fully know where she stands. She can't predict how he'll respond. Sometimes he's deeply affectionate. Other times he's focused on his own world. That unpredictability keeps her attention hooked. Think about the early days of dating. Remember that excitement you both felt? Every text felt like a small dopamine rush. You didn't know when she'd reply. She didn't know when you'd call. Every meeting was fresh, new, and filled with possibility. That's what made it addicting. But here's where it starts to unravel. Most men, once they feel they've won the girl, switch out of intrigue mode and into certainty mode. They text back instantly. They plan their lives around her availability. They give constant validation day after day, no surprises, no challenge, no unpredictability. And in doing so, they unknowingly kill the very spark that created the attraction in the first place. Because certainty, knowing exactly what to expect, doesn't create excitement. It creates comfort. And while comfort is safe, it is the enemy of intrigue. The female brain, just like the gambler or the social media addict, is wired to crave unpredictability. When everything becomes predictable, the dopamine loop shuts down, the rush is gone. This is why so many men say, "I don't get it. I treat her like gold. I'm always there for her. I never let her down." And she still pulled away. It's not that being kind or consistent is bad, it's that when kindness becomes predictable, when attention becomes guaranteed, the addictive cycle of attraction ends. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Attraction thrives on uncertainty, not manipulation, not games, but real, authentic unpredictability that keeps a woman guessing, keeps her intrigued, and keeps her emotionally invested. And in the next chapter, I'm going to show you exactly how men accidentally killed this dynamic, often without even realizing it. Now that you understand how the psychology of addiction works, how uncertainty drives dopamine and dopamine drives intrigue, let's talk about the heartbreaking reality. Most men kill attraction without even realizing it, and they don't do it by being cruel. They don't do it by ignoring her or pushing her away. They do it by trying too hard. Let me explain. When a guy first meets a woman he really likes, he's often walking on eggshells. He doesn't want to scare her off, so what does he do? He texts back instantly, even if he's busy. He clears his entire schedule just to see her. He tells her how beautiful she is over and over until those words lose their meaning. At first, she might appreciate the attention, but slowly something changes. Because here's the thing about the human brain. Rewards that are guaranteed stop feeling like rewards. Think about it. If you know your paycheck is going to hit your bank account every 2 weeks, do you get excited about it? Probably not. But if your boss suddenly says, "Hey, I'm giving you a surprise bonus today," that dopamine spike hits hard. The difference isn't the money, it's the unpredictability. The same rule applies in relationships. When a woman knows exactly what to expect from you, when every text, every compliment, every move you make is predictable, her brain stops releasing dopamine in response to you. The intrigue is gone. And this is why over-validation is such a silent killer. Telling her she's beautiful isn't the problem. It's telling her she's beautiful 10 times a day in the exact same way until it feels automatic. That compliment that once made her blush becomes background noise. It's no longer a surprise, it's just routine. The same goes for constant availability. When you're always free, always ready to drop your plans, always waiting by the phone, what message are you really sending? That your time has no value, that she can predict with 100% certainty that you'll be there no matter what. And when something is guaranteed, it loses its perceived value. This isn't about being cold or distant, it's about understanding psychology. Imagine 2 guys, one responds to every message within seconds, floods her with good mornings and good nights, and showers her with endless praise. The other? He's warm, but sometimes he's busy. Sometimes she has to wait a little. His compliments are thoughtful but not constant. She never fully knows what's coming next. Which guy will she feel more intrigued by? The second one, every time. Not because he's better, but because he maintains the element of mystery. His behavior keeps her guessing, keeps her checking her phone, keeps her hooked in the same way a gambler is hooked to the slot machine. The tragedy is that most men think doing more will make her stay. More attention, more affection, more validation. But in reality, it's that very more that suffocates the mystery, kills the dopamine, and pushes her further away. So the key isn't to give her nothing. The key is to give her something worth craving. And in the next chapter, we'll dive deep into the powerful principle of intermittent reinforcement and how mastering it can transform you from the guy she takes for granted into the guy she can't stop thinking about. If you really want to understand why she pulls away from the nice guy but becomes obsessed with the so-called bad boy, you need to understand one of the most powerful forces in psychology: intermittent reinforcement. This single principle is the difference between a woman feeling mildly interested and a woman feeling completely addicted. Let's break it down. Imagine two situations. First, your job. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, your paycheck lands in your bank account. It's reliable, it's predictable, and while it's nice, you don't get butterflies in your stomach every payday. Why? Because it's guaranteed. There's no mystery, no surprise, no dopamine rush. Now compare that to a slot machine. You sit down, drop in a coin, and pull the lever. Most of the time, you lose. But every now and then, ding, 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 you hit the jackpot. Lights flash, bells ring, dopamine floods your brain. That little maybe keeps you hooked for hours. You never know when the win is coming, so you keep pulling. This is intermittent reinforcement, and it's the same principle that drives attraction. When a man is predictable, when she knows exactly what he'll text, exactly when he'll call, exactly how he'll act, her brain treats him like a paycheck. Reliable, safe, consistent, but not exciting. But when a man is a little less predictable, not manipulative, not unreliable, but simply not always on the same script, her brain treats him like the slot machine. She never fully knows what she'll get. Sometimes he showers her with attention. Other times he's busy with his own life. Sometimes he texts back quickly. Other times it takes a little longer. That unpredictability sparks her dopamine system, keeping her hooked. And this right here is why the bad boy archetype is so addictive. It's not because he's cruel. It's not because women like being mistreated. It's because the bad boy naturally embodies intermittent reinforcement. One moment he's charming, the next he's distracted. One day he's passionately present, the next he's off doing his own thing. She never quite knows where she stands with him. That uncertainty creates the same addictive loop as the slot machine. Meanwhile, the nice guy, the one who texts good morning every single day, the one who cancels plans just to be available, the one who never lets her feel even a second of doubt, becomes predictable. And as comforting as that sounds, comfort doesn't create obsession. Comfort doesn't create intrigue. Comfort doesn't create the spark that keeps her chasing. Now let's be clear. This isn't about playing games or deliberately messing with her head. It's about understanding how human psychology works. The female brain, just like the male brain, is wired to light up when there's a hint of uncertainty. So if you want to stop being the paycheck and start being the slot machine, you need to introduce the right balance of consistency and unpredictability. Enough reliability to build trust, but enough intrigue to keep her hooked. And in the next chapter, we'll take this principle even further. I'll show you how to apply the psychology of intrigue in real relationships so she doesn't just stay interested, she becomes addicted to the feeling of being around you. Think about the moment you realize she's pulling away. She's not as affectionate. Her replies come slower, and deep down, you can feel that shift in energy. Most men respond to this by doubling down, sending longer texts, planning bigger dates, giving more compliments. They think the solution is to smother her with reassurance. But here's the paradox. The more certainty you give her, the less invested she becomes. Why? Because attraction thrives on intrigue. And intrigue is born out of not fully knowing where she stands with you. Now, before you think this sounds manipulative, let's flip the perspective. It's not about playing games or keeping her in constant anxiety. It's about reactivating her emotional circuitry. The part of her brain that lights up when she's curious, uncertain, and excited. Think about it. Every great love story, every romantic movie, every passionate relationship you've ever seen, what's at the center of it? Mystery, the will they, won't they tension, the unknown. When she doesn't fully know where she stands, her brain starts working overtime to solve the puzzle. Does he really like me? Why hasn't he texted back yet? What does he mean by that smile? These questions create mental loops, and every loop releases a little dopamine hit, the same brain chemical that fuels addiction. Compare this to when everything is crystal clear. When she knows you're always available, always saying yes, always texting immediately. There's no puzzle to solve, no mystery to unravel. Her emotional circuitry powers down because the challenge is gone. This is why so many men accidentally kill attraction by over-reassuring. They're trying to make her feel secure, but what they're really doing is turning off the very mechanism that creates desire. The key here isn't to become cold, distant, or manipulative. The key is to build a relationship where there's always just enough intrigue to keep her chasing, enough warmth to make her feel valued, but enough space for her to wonder. For example, instead of constantly explaining your feelings, sometimes let your actions speak louder than words. Instead of dropping everything the second she calls, continue living your life and let her see that your world doesn't revolve around her. Instead of showering her with daily compliments, make your validation earned, given when she does something genuinely meaningful. These small adjustments create the sense that she has to work for your attention, that she hasn't fully won you yet. And that, counterintuitive as it may sound, is what keeps her emotionally invested. Because here's the truth. People don't value what's handed to them freely. We value what we have to earn. We value what we could lose. So the next time you feel her slipping away, resist the urge to suffocate her with certainty. Instead, introduce just enough unpredictability, just enough challenge to switch her emotional circuitry back on. When you master this balance, you're no longer just the man she dates, you become the man she can't stop thinking about, the man who lingers in her mind long after the date ends, the man she feels addicted to. And that, right there, is the psychology of intrigue in relationships. By now, you understand the psychology behind attraction. Uncertainty sparks dopamine, intrigue keeps her hooked, and overpredictability kills desire. But understanding theory isn't enough. You need practical strategies, ways to maintain intrigue in real relationships without playing cruel games. Let's break it down. Tactic number 1. Don't always respond instantly. The first step is simple but powerful. Stop being instantly available. That doesn't mean ignoring her completely. It means creating small pockets of unpredictability. Think about your own experience. When you're waiting for a text from someone you like, every ping of your phone sends a rush of anticipation through your body. That's dopamine at work. Now imagine you get a message immediately every single time. That anticipation disappears. By occasionally waiting before you respond, whether it's a few minutes or a few hours, you introduce just enough uncertainty to keep her brain engaged. She begins to wonder what you're doing, what you're thinking, and whether she's occupying your mind. Tactic number 2. Mix validation with challenge. Compliments are great, but only when they feel earned. If every word is a validation, she quickly becomes numb to it. The key is contrast. Praise her when she does something impressive, when she surprises you, or when she demonstrates qualities you admire. Mix that validation with playful teasing, light challenges, or small amounts of resistance. For example, if she suggests a plan and you already have something scheduled, don't drop everything to accommodate her. Politely decline, but show enthusiasm for an alternative. This signals that your time and attention are valuable and makes her work just a little bit for your approval. Tactic number 3. Be unpredictable in positive ways. Intrigue thrives on novelty. One of the fastest ways to make yourself irresistible is to introduce small surprises or new experiences. Take her to a new restaurant, plan an unexpected adventure, or share a hobby she's never tried. These unpredictable positive experiences light up her dopamine system the same way intermittent reinforcement does. She starts associating you with excitement, unpredictability, and pleasure, without you ever having to chase her or create artificial tension. Tactic number 4, create a sense of scarcity around your attention. Attention is a currency. The more freely you give it, the less valuable it becomes. When you make your presence feel scarce, she begins to value every interaction more deeply. This doesn't mean withdrawing completely or ignoring her needs. It means balancing availability with your own priorities. When she texts or calls, respond thoughtfully but without desperation. Show that you have your own fulfilling life and that her attention is something she earns rather than something you give automatically. Here's the key takeaway. Maintaining intrigue isn't about manipulation. It's about reactivating the natural mechanisms that make attraction irresistible. Unpredictability, scarcity, challenge, and novelty are all ways to keep her emotional circuitry engaged, so she continues to feel that pull, the same addictive rush that makes us crave uncertainty in games, social media, and yes, in relationships. When you master these tactics, you stop being the predictable nice guy she takes for granted. You become the man she thinks about constantly, the man she wants to see, and the man she can't help but feel drawn to, without ever losing your authenticity. By now, you understand the science, the psychology, and the subtle behavioral shifts that create attraction. You've seen how overvalidation, predictability, and constant availability quietly kill desire. You've learned about intermittent reinforcement, dopamine loops, and the addictive nature of intrigue. But understanding all of this is only the beginning. The real transformation happens when you take these principles and make them a part of who you are. Not just a set of tactics, but a way of living and presenting yourself. Think about the version of yourself who texts instantly, rearranges your schedule for her every whim, and floods her with constant compliments. That man is predictable, that man is safe, and the truth is he will always be taken for granted. Now imagine a different man, the man who lives on his own terms, the man who maintains his standards, keeps a life full of purpose and passion, and shares his time and attention selectively. This man is intriguing. This man is addictively interesting, and this man, without even trying, commands desire. Here's what this transformation looks like in action. You don't panic when she doesn't respond immediately. You don't overcompensate when she pulls away. You maintain your own rhythm, your own energy, your own life. You're consistent but not predictable, warm but not desperate, available but not needy. You mix validation with challenge. You praise her when it matters, tease her when it counts, and keep a spark of unpredictability in every interaction. You introduce novelty, excitement, and moments that she remembers long after the date is over. You create scarcity around your attention, making her earn it, but without ever being cruel or manipulative. And here's the beauty of this transformation. It's not about controlling her. It's not about tricks. It's about becoming a man she can't help but think about, because you embody the qualities that naturally trigger her curiosity, desire, and emotional investment. She doesn't chase because she's insecure. She chases because being with you feels irresistible. She invests emotionally because the uncertainty, the intrigue, and the excitement you bring into her life are addictive in the healthiest sense of the word. This is the difference between a man who is liked and a man who is unforgettable. Between a man who is taken for granted and a man who is addictively intriguing. So here's your call to action. Stop trying to earn her approval. Stop flooding her with predictable attention. Stop sacrificing your identity for the sake of temporary comfort. Instead, focus on becoming a man who is confident, self-assured, and fascinating. A man whose presence she craves, whose attention she earns, and whose value she can't ignore. The transformation isn't just about her attraction. It's about your identity. It's about living your life in a way that naturally draws people in, ignites desire, and commands respect. Be that man. Be the one she can't stop thinking about. Be the man she feels lucky to have, but never takes for granted. Because when you embody this identity, you're no longer playing games, no longer guessing, and no longer desperate. You are simply irresistible. And that right there is the psychology of intrigue, and the secret to creating a lasting, passionate, addictively magnetic connection.